Hello, everybody, and welcome to the featured match for this week. I'm Junipersona, and today we're going to be commentating this H5 match. We got isiahw1 versus Ramius1212. And here we go. Players are deliberating. And we're going to see what's up. Alright, we have a pretty complicated looking board already. Remake looks like a must open on this board. For sure. Remake's a very strong trashing card. And there's already something that we can pair very well with the remake as well, which is Experiment. Experiment is really good for cycling through your deck quickly, and you can kill your estates into more experiments or silver. You can get the deck thinned out pretty quickly from there. Maybe you can... Usually treasure map's not that good, but this is a board where treasure map might be okay. It's probably not worth it though. There's too much you can do. For example, there's cavalry. There's just so much you can do with the remake. You can remake horses into 4s, which I guess would be treasure map. You can remake cavalries that you gain mid-turn to draw more into 5s, which could be giant. Board should be pretty quick. So we're seeing a bureaucrat open. And the reason bureaucrat's not incredible is it's just really slow. It gets you silvers, which are not... They're usually not great. It top decks the silver, so you cycle through your deck less fast. Although I will say the attack putting a green card on top of your opponent's deck is pretty good, but bureaucrat just doesn't do anything on play. It slows your deck down. So, it's not an incredible open from Isiah. We got Ramius, we got a remake, and a silver for him. And for Isiah, we got a bureaucrat and a town crier. Yeah, there's a lot to build here with the town crier. Like blacksmith's incredible with merchant camp because draw to X. For sure. And Ramius does flip the blacksmith and takes a miller, which I don't 100% understand that, but that's okay. The miller does have some upside. It does help you find the remake, but remake can trash pretty quickly in theory, so miller is nice to find a really specific card in a somewhat thick deck. We got Ramius here making a decision whether to play giant or trash. My intuition tells me trashing there is probably slightly better. Just to get the deck thinner quicker. Okay, we're gonna see an Elder from Isiah. This game's going by pretty quickly. There's a lot of decision points. It's really hard to follow exactly what's happening. Because there's just so many, like with cavalry on the board, there's just so much to do. There's so many possible options. Alright. A nice use of the save there. Save is another really complicated card as well. And Isiah flipping the station back to the town criers. Okay, we're seeing some Marchlands now, which kind of it kind of makes sense for Izia a little bit, just because he hasn't invested in a remake at all. Not to say that it's good, but it at least makes a little bit of logical sense, just because he has the starting 3 estates. But it seems like the wrong time to go for Marchland, in my opinion. I feel like a province would have been better, but so essentially, I think what Izia has to play for here is Ramius has the trashing, right? So in theory, Ramius should have the better long-term play, where Izia is kind of playing more with big economy, not trashing, because the bureaucrat's gaining silvers, right? So Izia should probably be rushing provinces as fast as possible. Ramius is already thinking about province. Actually, kind of just like getting another remake. I would have liked to remake a lot sooner as well, but just getting your deck thinner is pretty nice. There's a case for Town Crier as well, just because you want to get access to the draw to X from Blacksmith, which is like really good for Ramius's deck. It's probably the single best card for him right now. Really good draw. But we do see a gold from Ramius, and then we got a Izia here. The attack, you know, the bureaucrat attack isn't doing nothing. It does hurt. It does hurt here. Got Ramius here, just missing 8. Given Ramius's pattern of buying gold last time, we'll probably see another gold here. Although maybe we'll see a save and a 4 cost. Looks like we're going to see cavalry. Okay. I don't know about saving then. If you were gonna save, it kind of made more sense to keep the silver and then look to save later. So definitely some order of operations stuff there, I think. Okay, so we see experiments. We're top decking a merchant camp. Ramius loses the elder. Izzy is just going ham on these Marchlands. Takes his first gold. Alright, now here's a little bit interesting. Well, not really. I think you just take 2 giants. Yeah, I think you just take the giant. Yeah. And then you save a silver there and buy presumably province. I guess you could get double Marchland. I think I would just go for provinces. I don't think the Marchlands are going to be worth all that much for a little bit. And with all the giants, you're going to be spiking price points pretty often. So I think province makes sense. If I were going to play this board, like Blacksmith is absolutely the key card, right? You would want to do a lot of remake loop stuff with merchant camps and Blacksmith to just trash a bunch to gain and play stuff with remakes. You're definitely playing with multiple remakes here. And then you would draw back up with the Blacksmith. That's really complicated. It's not an easy deck to pilot. But that would be along the lines of what I would try. And also, complicatedly, there is no buy except for cavalry. So you could gain a cavalry mid-turn, and you'd get a buy that way. So you could like build a double province potentially with cavalry as your only plus buy, which is really weird, very strange. Ramius looks like he's having a really good turn here, which is quite nice. However, it doesn't quite hit province. So, I wonder what Ramius is gonna do here. I don't think it makes sense to buy the cavalry, just because, like, what is it? What are you doing? So, yeah, I like the... And what's nice here is Ramius can definitely just take province and save the gold. Pretty good. Isia just hits 8. Now it looks like they're just gonna start. No, interesting. All right. Isia had a couple of times where he could have hit province, could have put more of a clock on Ramius, for sure. Might have been, honestly, might have won. Might still win, but it's definitely potentially closer than it could be. Well, we're definitely gonna see an undo for the gold. Saving the gold. No? Okay, we're buying cavalry. I'm not 100% sure what that does, to be entirely honest. But it's fine. Ramius is starting to catch up. Isia at this point probably needs to start buying estates or duchies. Well, mostly buy estates. If you have 5, you would just buy a marshland. But with how his deck is constructed, I think at this point, any amount of green is just really good. You just want protection against Ramius hitting province over and over again, because now it's kind of time up. Ramius's deck is pretty good enough that you're just likely to see provinces at least more than not. Like here, Ramius just misses. We might see a remake on these 2 cavalries into duchies or maybe marshlands just to deny the points from Isia. Not clear which one is better. You could also just play the 2 cavalries, take the 4 horses. That might actually be better. Just get some draw on the deck. And then you have the flexibility of killing the cavalries later. That's definitely an option. Definitely do that. But it looks like we're electing to kill the cavalries into some kind of green card. There's a case for both. Duchy helps catch up faster. Marchland at this point makes sense. Probably the decks will be in such a manner that Marchland will be worth 2 to 3 points by the time the game ends. And then you deny it from your opponent who's clearly going for it as well. Okay, we're gonna see experiments. Yeah, I like that. Seems fine. Alright. We see another Marchland from Isia. And then we got Ramius here, missing 8. See a Marchland. We might see an estate buy here. Yep. Makes sense. Alright, so Ramius's deck is definitely better than Isia's. Izia kind of doesn't have a lot going for him in terms of play. Ramius has more gold in his deck. Izia does have more silvers from the bureaucrat, but his deck is also not trashed at all. And he has all these marshlands in his deck, because he just never went for a remake. And he went for marshland relatively early too. So at this point, if I were to pick a player I would expect to win, it's going to be Ramius. But you never know how games go. That's just what my intuition tells me. Ramius does hit 8 in this hand. Izia really needs to start buying estates. Yep. Okay. And we're presumably gonna undo, save the gold, and buy a province. Or maybe not. Maybe you just marshland this stuff. Yeah, just deny the points. Then buy province anyway. Yep, okay. Ramius has taken the lead finally. And that will probably do it. It is not too likely to hit 8. Yeah. So I think we're gonna see remake kill this cavalry, do a duchy, kill the giant, do a gold, just buy a state after like saving. Elder doesn't super help. You might play that Elder once before this game ends, because the decks are pretty thick. There's 16 cards in there. The shuffle did happen, but on average, you're seeing about 5 to 6 cards per turn. So one of the really important things about Dominion is thinking in terms of like shuffles. So for example, if I can shuffle my entire deck after turn like 4 or turn 3, well, if I can shuffle my entire deck after turn 3, I'm playing my good cards faster than if I don't shuffle at all. Because you shuffle on turn 5, right? Because after your opening hand of turns 1 and 2, you're drawing 10 out of your 12 cards. But if you finagle a way to trigger that shuffle after turn 3, you're just going way faster. So I always like to keep an eye on how quickly I'm shuffling, usually. And then we have Izia here. Having a really good turn, a much more rare province buy. Really, really needed. Really helps. Really makes the game a little more competitive. With some lucky rolls here, Izia could close this. Especially with the giant spike in his favor. The coin has been flipped so that when he plays it, it's 5 money. So Ramius almost just tasked a province here. You really don't want to be duchy dancing. There's like, it's a 7-point deficit. Buying a duchy doesn't do anything. You kind of just have to catch Izia here with the worst deck and just say, okay, my deck is better. I'm going to hit province twice before you. Especially with a saved silver, you definitely click on province here. However, this does not look like a province hand for Ramius. And Izia here, just a coin short. Wow. So we're gonna see a save on the giant by duchy. Oh wow, that's not. I'm not sure that's correct. I think you play the giant there, and you save the giant that you didn't play, so you have the 5 spike. Because yeah, Izia would have just won it here on the spot probably. Because this, it would have been really nice. You just have that 5 money in your next hand. And instead, Izia only hits 7. So Ramius has to win it like right here this turn. He doesn't know that, but yeah. I mean, he would have if Izia had tucked the giant. Wow, just barely missing 8. I mean, you kind of just have to draw on here and hope you find like a gold or something. Taking the money doesn't make sense because this isn't a win. The only way it would make sense is if you save the silver and buy duchy. Ramius has done a lot better job of using save. Also, Ramius opened with the Trasher remake. So I'm just kind of assuming that Ramius is a little more experienced with the competitive scene, if I had to guess. Because there's just a lot of moving parts on this board. It's really easy to lose track of save. So someone being good with saving, definitely easy to miss. Ramius does have the province here. Would have to count to see if the marshlands trigger. Would that even matter? I don't think so. I don't think Ramius has more than 2 marshlands, and a tie would be a loss for first player. So I just have to try and take the duchy here. And that should do it. Unless the marshland triggers off this estate buy. But no. Now Izia is saving the cavalry. Buying estate there makes a lot of sense. Now we're saving? That doesn't make sense. Anyway, this will be the game. Ramius does get the first win. Very messy first board, very complicated. There's a lot going on that board. Now we're on to game 2. Another relatively complicated board. There is plan, which is very strong sometimes, especially on this board with no other trashing. Definitely we could see an instance where we'll probably see the plan token put on Herald, and both players will be like fighting over the Heralds potentially. Samurai looks annoying as hell, for sure. Getting a Swamp Hag down, man. If Ramius had the 5 in his second hand, it would have been just so sad because the Swamp Hag would have prevented him from buying anything, or else you take a curse. It would have been really funny, for sure. But luckily that didn't happen. And yeah, this is already looking a bit rough. So the way a lot of Swamp Hag boards can sometimes work, especially with weak trashing, is the goal of the game kind of becomes play Swamp Hag every single turn, and then your opponent doesn't want to buy anything because they take a curse with it. And then it turns into this annoying stalemate game where both players are like finagling around, trying to optimize playing Swamp Hag every single turn. And if you miss your Swamp Hag turn, your opponent just gets to buy something. I don't know if that's what this game's going to turn into. That there's, I mean, neither player has shown any inclination to go for plan. And you could buy a plan for free off of a Swamp Hag turn as well. So I guess there's a potential case for not clicking on plan as fast. It's not a very good case, but you could. Oh, Ramius did just put plan on Black Cat. Black Cat's another interesting one as well. Just because it triggers when people buy green cards. Which, if you have like 5 Black Cats in your deck, there's always that threat of like, oh man, I really don't want to buy this green card. But there's actually a lot of building you can do here. There's even tools. You could really like sidestep a lot of the Swamp Hag stuff if you wanted to. If it ever got to it, you could definitely. Yeah, so it looks like Isia now could potentially just decide to buy their plan. If they're not going to buy anything, they might as well put their plan on something. Okay, we're just taking a samurai. So it looks like Isia is just kind of going for like a samurai money thing. From my experience, I did test this. It wasn't very good. But you know, it is something. The thing about samurai, like I wanted to test like how good having an extra dollar per turn could be, but just with how hard it is to hit samurai and how like money is just worse than stuff usually. Yeah, it wasn't very good. But Isia is doing squires. There's Swamp Hag does make samurai a little more viable, spiking them at least, just because of the gold effect on the next turn. This might be a golem board actually, with how little trashing there is on this board, how weak it is. Golem makes a lot of sense actually. And all right, seeing a lot of effective Way of the Seal use on this board as well. It is quite a card. Yeah, like you can make it pretty likely to have a Swamp Hag in nearly every single turn if you were really on it with the Way of the Seal. You can always just top deck a Swamp Hag. It's actually so cracked. Like if I was really gonna be annoying, I probably would just top deck a Swamp Hag here. Okay, so we're top decking a Council Room. This samurai is gonna really hurt. Really bad timing on this samurai. Or really good timing if you're Isia. I presume you're gonna toss Black Cat Curse. Seems to be the thing that makes the most sense. And I think Isia will probably just buy another samurai here. That seems to be the thing he's going for. And we do see the Black Cat and Curse toss as expected. 1 city quarter, okay. This shuffle trigger is a little bit awkward, but it's not the end of the world just because with how the shuffles go, there's 4 cards on top, so the shuffle will be triggered and you will see the city quarter again, but that could have ended a lot worse than it did. For sure. Alright, so we're not playing the Swamp Hag. On the top deck a Samurai, which guarantees the shuffle doesn't trigger. Which means this turn's kind of a wash. All those bad cards on top don't miss. And you don't kind of have to wade through them all again while looking for city quarter. So we finally see the plan happen. Gets put on Black Cat, so it looks like both players are just going to be hyper focusing on Black Cat. So we're probably going to see an empty curse pile before the end of this game between the Swamp Hags and the Black Cat. Surprised there hasn't been any Heralds bought yet. I mean, to be fair, the trashing's pretty weak. Looks like both players just don't. Top decking Curse? I don't know why we're top decking Curse. Maybe we're just automatically clicking. Just, you know, just to get the game going. I don't think you want to top deck Curse, though. Might have been a misclick. Or they didn't notice. Isia buying quite a bit there. Harbor Village, Squire, Herald. Pretty nice. Oh, okay. So they wanted to top deck the Curse so they could trash it with Black Cat. Okay, I see the logic. I still don't think I would have top decked it, but I at least understand what they were going for. Okay, that makes sense. I'm not sure whose deck I prefer right now, to be entirely honest. Ramius' deck is, like, not bad. Isiah's deck is also not bad. Like, I don't know. Like, Isiah's deck is worse on the face of it just because there's less trashing happening. But Isiah has a Golem, which is not bad at all. And Isiah will get more Golem goes on. So I don't know. I mean, Ramius does look ahead though. Now I'm looking at this hand. Yeah, I take it back. Ramius is probably just ahead. But I do like Isiah's Golem. They're not bad at all. Ooh. That's kind of another thing we might see in this game. We might see a lot of Samurai bots just because Samurai, the attack, like Samurai is a weak card, don't get me wrong, but you can definitely keep an opponent down just by getting a Samurai down every turn. You have a bunch of deck control. Ooh. Yeah, so Isiah now, with top decking all these golems and stuff, we're going to start seeing some acceleration from Isiah. I mean, both players seem to just be okay with taking curses, and maybe that's the play. Maybe you are just okay with taking. Kind of surprised over that sealing the Necropolis. seems a little surprising to me. I also think I would have maybe taken a city quarter there to top deck it. You had $7, so you're not really afraid of the debt. So you might have top decked a city quarter there. Although there's no guarantee it would have drawn at all. There's actually a pretty decent chance you would have had like 4 junk, a city quarter, and then you're pretty sad. Alright, I wonder what we'll see here. Probably just a city quarter. I would imagine it's just a city quarter. There's a, I'm surprised Tools hasn't been taken yet, because Tools is really, really nice, actually. You can use it to gain city quarters, you don't take the debt. And it also dodges Swamp Hag, I think. Swamp Hag's on buy. Yeah, gains a card they bought, so. Tools gets past the Swamp Hag, so you feel less bad about skipping buys, and then also, it's really nice for gaining city quarter. Like, if you have like 5 city quarters, your deck just gets a lot better. So, definitely, Tools is a card here. Gold is not really on my radar, not gonna lie. There's just a lot better stuff you can. I mean, gold, I guess, at some point makes some sense. But Squire even gains silver, so you can scale up using Squire to some effect. And now we're seeing the power of Isiah's golems here. I don't think I would have played that Swamp Hag as what it is. I think I would have probably just played it as a Way of the Seal, top decked a city quarter, maybe 2 city quarters. Alright, now we're seeing some Black Cats trigger. Yeah. Like, I think if I was Isiah, I think I would have just kept building. I would have top decked a city quarter and a golem or something. City quarter, Tools, maybe. There's a lot of potentialities for sure. But you definitely, like, once you start drawing your deck like that, you just want to keep building. You want to make it more likely you draw your deck like that every turn, because you saw that was easily a double province turn. Alright, so now we're seeing provinces start to fly off the board. Now it's getting a little dangerous. Now you don't really want to build. Alright, so it's kind of anyone's game here. Isiah did take a bunch of curses, but Isiah does have the golems to combat that. At least somewhat. This is kind of a prototypical golem board. Yeah, Ramius is gonna get double province here easily. No question. But yeah, you just kind of have to go for it. You're 2 points down, meaning if you take 2 provinces, you'll be 4 points up. You'll be more than 4 points up. You will be 10 points up. So, Isiah, if they buy province and duchy, that's not enough for a win. They have to buy double duchy and a province, and you're really not getting much safer than that. So, with the 2 samurais down and the Swamp Hag, that's going to be plus $5 for next turn. So, you definitely just take the double province. We're apparently not doing. Well, you definitely don't want to take single province. Yeah, this kind of opens up a lane for Isiah. So if Isiah hits double province, it's just cooked. You want to make it as hard as possible for your opponent to win when you're making your buys in situations like this. You kind of have to do the mental math, where double province is easier than province and 2 duchies, because 2 duchies are worth 10. So that would be $18 versus $16, which is significant and relevant. Now, if Isia just hits $16, it's over. However, the deck isn't that great, as you can see. The golems are good, but you're still drawing junk more than not, especially with a huge influx of curses after all of the black cats. Isia kind of just has to take province here and just pray. There's nothing else to do. There's such a point deficit here. You just need Ramius to dud. Buying a duchy is just, it's not doing anything, because Ramius will just buy a duchy back, and it's like, alright, now I've passed the court back to Isia, and their deck is worse. They're kind of more in a hurry than Ramius. Ramius can just sit back and do whatever with their points lead. And this province is more or less going to put Isia in the same sort of position as before, where Isia has to do double duchy in a province. That's just not likely. Whereas if you cower out here and take duchy estate or something, yeah, this is the line. Alright, Isia, let's see what you got. Can you hit $18 in 3 buys? The answer is... don't think so. Yeah, we'll see 2 duchies here. Ramius will close it out, I think. Yep, they will. The Ramius will get their second win. Definitely a close game, all things considered. Isia made it a game with the golems. So that goes to show that Golem's not particularly a strong card, but this was the exact kind of board where Golem does shine, where there are powerful effects, but just a lot of junk, no trashing. That was kind of like best case scenario for Golem. So it's kind of nice to have a Golem board, I guess. Alright, this board is insane. Wow. This is the kind of board where I think you open double lookout. That's at least what jumps off to me immediately. There's storeroom village green, which is quite nice. There's trail as well. Yeah, this is a kind of board where I want to get thin pretty quickly. Double lookout does that. Hitting 5 isn't the most important thing ever. Like, it's good, don't get me wrong. Like, getting livery is pretty nice. But I think it's more important to trash as fast as possible. And double lookout does do that. And then you can start doing your storeroom, village green loops and stuff, and trail, and start doing all of that. And then you're gonna get to a point where you're playing a bunch of monuments a turn as you're scaling. You know, besides livery, printing a bunch of horses. Okay, we're seeing a lot of buys that don't make the most sense. But that's okay. So we're top decking the trail, which actually doesn't do anything. It would have been potentially better to not do that. I'm not sure if Isia has a storeroom or not, but you kind of want to increase the odds of having a trail and a storeroom in the same hand. And top decking the trail there with the hand that he had, less likely he was going to have a storeroom. very unlikely, maybe even impossible. I don't remember if his shuffle triggered there or not. But that's like a very micro decision. Ramius gets a trail. We're top decking it. Yeah, we're gonna see a border village. We're seeing a lot of trails. Now, the trails do make some sense, but they make sense with storerooms and with deck control and with a thinner deck. They don't make a ton of sense. Like, the only way you're triggering your trail is with Lookout or with Storeroom. So we do trigger one trail here. Yeah, trail's definitely a bit of a... It can be definitely a bit of a trap, because you just really want to trigger trail as many times as possible. It's like really fun. But it doesn't actually do anything for the most part, unless you have some effect to go with it, like with Storeroom. Now we're seeing more effective purchases here, like the Border Village Trail. I would have liked to have seen pretty much any other card other than Trail, to be honest. Storeroom, Village Green, and Trail seems okay. Oh yeah, it's absolutely pretty good. It is something you go for, but the prerequisite for sure is opening Lookout to trash quickly, which neither player did. So yeah, with how many trails they have, I would like to see some more storerooms from both players. Probably once the trails run, they'll start buying more more trails. I'm sorry, more storerooms. There just seems to be a bit of a prospecting gold rush on the trails. They're hitting that card like it's a GameStop stock, like from like a decade ago. I don't remember how long that was. But yeah, there's just a gold rush on the trails right now. Really? Yeah, here we go. So here we go. Doesn't actually trigger the trail. I think Ramius for... Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah. They just forgot that discarding trail makes an action. Oh, they thought they had another action. Okay. That makes sense too. I'm a little confused by this. I feel like you could have played on there. Definitely could have played on. Okay, we should see a storeroom here. Yep. Okay, second storeroom. Actually a really nice purchase. I get the feeling it was a forced purchase just because Izia had $3 and not 4, but it did work out either way. I definitely wanted to see a second storeroom, so. Like here, unless Ramius finds the storeroom, yeah, I do like just stopping there, honestly. Okay, we're buying a King's Cash, which doesn't make a ton of sense, especially since Isiah's the only one with the silver for one. So Ramius would have to buy like a gold or another King's Cash and collide both of them to make the King's Cash worth it. It's just not very economical. And also that there just isn't really that much utility in King's cashing a treasure. Ramius doesn't grasp the storeroom trail interaction. It's possible he doesn't. It's definitely possible. But yeah, for the record, you can use storeroom trail just to draw cards and all of that, for sure. Very powerful. Ooh. There might be some FOMO here. Ramius might just take the last trail just because. Okay, no. Takes the storeroom. Excellent. Excellent purchase. Love to see. Oh my god. If Ramius draws, like, is there a draw here that prevents Ramius from finding a copper? I guess we're gonna find out. But yeah, this King's Cash is effectively a silver. It's effectively a silver. That's all it is. $7 silver. Kind of sad. Ramius does buy a silver, so at least now there is a chance the King's Cash and the silver. So it can be a $4 card. Because you have to take in consideration King's Cash kind of doesn't play the card 3 times. It kind of plays it twice. And King's Cash just becomes that card. At least in terms of like mental calculation in your head. King's Cash does. Well, King's Cash just kind of turns into playing that card twice. Kinda. I don't know. I'm tired. It's almost 9 p.m. It's been a long day for me. Alright, so we're seeing a border village. The border villages are about to run out. Wait, are players buying estates now? Did I just miss that? When did that happen? Izzy started buying estates. Okay, interesting. Kind of surprising, to be honest. Well, if you're gonna start buying estates, I guess you just start hammering Border Village Storeroom like really aggressively. But even with that, I would still buy the province. And we're buying Duchy too. So Izzy is just going full like degen mode, just full green. Can Ramius catch up? Question. We'll see. Well, it looks like Izzy has another province here. Another province plus. So we're gonna see province. I think I would take another storeroom here. The livery is also more than fine. You can also bargain for a. Oh, it's a non-victory. I thought you could bargain for a duchy. All right, really nice storeroom trigger here, for sure. Border Village Duchy looks really nice from a livery point of view. Absolutely. It absolutely does. That sage could have gone wrong. There's absolutely a world where you have nothing but like 2 or less cost cards in your hand and you trigger the shuffle and all of these good cards miss your shuffle. Oh, and we just trigger the shuffle anyway. I don't know about that. Seems actually really dangerous. You know, there's actually a world here where both of these cards don't draw a coin, and this King's Cash is worthless. Like, if this is a green card on top, or a, like, or a monument or something, yeah, this King's Cash literally does nothing. Such, man, that's so sad. That's actually so sad. Yeah, I think King's Cash is probably by far the worst card on this board. Not even close. It's just not good, this board. But all the same, we do see a province from Ramius, who does have a slight edge on the monument points, which does help. You definitely just cycle 4 cards here, hope to find a trail. You know, if we see a trail at the next hand, we can pretend that the card that he didn't cycle would have been a trail, but yeah, there is no trail anyway. Alright, 2 estates from Izia. Izia's definitely looking to end the game a little bit faster just because they have a points lead. However, this is one of those situations where the points lead and rushing the game could sour the game for you. That is always possible. Generally speaking, you don't always want to rush the ending if the game is super close like this. You would much rather just like pressure the provinces or something. Like, there is a world where like Ramius could have a really good turn, border village for 2 estates, buy 2 estates or something, right? Like, that's not impossible. It would just be $16 in 4 buys, which is probably never happening ever, but because both players only have 2 storerooms, so they're only getting 3 buys regardless. But at least in principle, it's potentially sketchy. So Izia buys Monument, which there's just an incredible chance Izia never sees that Monument for the rest of the game. Look at their deck, it's 37 cards. They're probably playing that Monument maybe once. That's definitely a thing. Figuring out how many times you're going to play a card before the game ends. It definitely factors into decisions on what to purchase. Like, buying an estate there made more sense for Izia than buying the Monument. You're going to get the same amount of points. It does lower the piles somewhat, which, again, it's not, maybe not the best idea, but it's something, I guess. Yeah, Ramius there actually wisely doesn't do border village duchy. Some people would just click on it just because they can, but it does lower piles and they're definitely behind. So, not a great idea to do that. Even if they were 1 point ahead, it wouldn't be a great idea to do that. Alright, so this is quite scary. So with a points lead like this, I would buy a border village. And I would do duchy, I wouldn't do estate. It's always tempting me like, oh, I'm gonna lower the piles. But yeah, you take as many points as you can. For sure. Especially with Monument. Never count Monument out. I'm not entirely sure why we're not just playing the storeroom there on the village green and the trail. Seems like you're never going to get a better trigger than that in terms of card draw. And once again, this King Cash does absolutely nothing. It's so sad. Such a sad King's Cash. You know, like there are some boards where King's Cash is really, really good. They're not very often. King's Cash is definitely not a great card. Alright, so we're gonna see a duchy. Well, you're not gonna cycle the monument this time. Okay, nice. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is probably gonna seal it. Izia gets the province and the estate. Ramius now needs to essentially gamble that. Oh, missed win? Yeah, well, there's probably a missed win. You're right. There was a missed win. You could just empty the border villages and the estate. But this is fine. This is effectively a win anyway. Yeah, you're gambling a little bit that you don't dud. But it's kind of tempting to just not toss the copper here. Just because you've whiffed your King's Cash twice. Like, there's definitely the temptation to just keep the copper. Just so that never happens again. But they do land it. Yeah, now we're in the territory where even duchies don't save you anymore, because now duchies are like effectively a third pile. Can't take this estate. I mean, I guess you can. Yeah, it's just really scary. Okay. Why miss a coin with that trail? I don't know. So Izia does get on the board. First win for Izia. Quite nice. Now we're on to game 4. All right. So this board, no village. Besides Toil. There is Toil. Toil is a village. So, in super ideal land, you would want to play a bunch of inventors and end the game that way, right? Like, just play a trillion inventors, go absolutely crazy, and empty the provinces. However, that's just not going to happen here for multiple reasons. Reason 1, you would have to toil a bunch, which is quite expensive. Also, my open here would probably be Spice Merchant Experiment or Spice Merchant Silver. Probably Spice Merchant Silver, just because I want to hit 5. I want to get an upgrade. Upgrade here is really good. Upgrade's such a good card. Tanuki's not bad either. I just prefer upgrade. Cobblers for experiments are fine. They're definitely fine. It's not my first 5, but I would want a cobbler at some point. You can stockpile coffers for an inventor big turn. Are there coffers on this board? Oh, candlestick maker? Oh, that's really slow. That's super slow. You'd also need like 8 inventors in your hand, which I guess you definitely could do that, but you'd have to archive like all of your inventors. It's just not realistic. It's just not gonna happen. The game's gonna be over like long before you get that many candlestick makers played. This board is pretty fast in theory. So the first 5 goes off the board. It is an archive. Oh, sorry, second 5 goes off the board. Maybe third 5. I don't know. This game's been going pretty fast. I've been kind of distracted thinking about weird hypotheticals. We got inventor, silver merchant, silver spice merchant, Nuki, experiment, archive. Okay. Cool. I actually think you Tanuki the silver here to get a 5, and then you do a double 5. Slightly better. That way you get a bunch of 5s. 5 cost cards are really, really nice in Dominion for the most part. I don't think Ramius would buy Alliance. I think Isia, from what I've seen, Isia does love to. Oh, gold. Gold is bad. Gold is not great. Typically, you don't want to buy gold. Alliance is better? No, definitely not. Gold is definitely better than Alliance. I mean, taking 1 junk card instead of 6 junk cards is... Although, Tanuki does kind of put a timer on the game, right? Because Tanuki can, you can use it to mill provinces really fast. And you have a lot of control over when you play the Tanuki. So there's definitely, like... It's not entirely bad to like, click on Alliance there. It is bad, but like it's not like there's upside. There is definitely some upside that's really funny. Tanuki putting a clock on the board is definitely a funny upside. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of inventors fly off the board. I don't know how they're gonna play all these inventors, but I guess they're gonna toil them. Also, really sad Spice Merchant. Comes with a gold and a second gold, silver and copper. I mean, silver and copper is way worse than gold. It's not a gold. That's just bad. Cobbler for Ramius? No. Archive is better. Tanuki is probably better. I mean, I'm surprised no one's taken an upgrade yet. Upgrade's a really good card. It even turns your Spice Merchants into cards when you're done with your Spice Merchants. And you will be done with your Spice Merchants. It's just a really, really versatile card. And then you can even upgrade into gold. Like, you can even get your gold that way. You could buy like 2-3 upgrades, get thin really quickly, and then you can upgrade your upgrade into gold. So, like, you can go crazy upgrade and just go nuts. So that's definitely something. I think at this point you do kind of just I mean, no, right? You don't go for Alliance. No, you don't do that. Oh my god. I mean, I don't even hate it per se. I don't even hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. The Tanuki does make it kind of fast. Yeah, alright. Now we're just going full degen mode. Alright. I mean, I love it when people... I love buying Alliance. It's really funny. Like, you definitely do buy Alliance at some point. You do. For sure. Because it comes with a gold, which is really good for the Tanuki. It gives you fuel for the Spice Merchant. The extra green cards are always nice. Like, and then you even have upgrade food. Like, with some archive control and experiments in your deck, you can absolutely make the most of your alliances. Just go crazy. It's actually correct to play Apothecary first, just to see what's on top. But it's not like a huge deal. Alright, so we're going to start seeing provinces fly off the board. You're not playing the Tanuki this turn. I mean, I guess you could. You could Tanuki this gold into a province and buy a duchy. Definitely a line. Alright, Isia almost can just... In fact, Isia just wins here. You just Tanuki the province into province and buy province. Yeah, the game's just over. If Isia spots that win, we're on to game 5. They don't see it. Which is fair. That's entirely fair. They do find this really nice line though, where they get a bunch of duchies and stuff. Like, that's a really nice find. But it's overly complicated. Yeah, now Ramius has the win here. Will Ramius see it? Is the next question. You Tanuki the I mean, you can even forget, right? You can forget about the Tanuki, then play all of your cards, and you can still toil the card from your quote-unquote hand, because a shadow card counts as your hand. Oh, yeah, I think that's how it works. Pretty sure that's how it works. So you can toil the Tanuki. You even have the money for it. It's just really funny. Yeah, so you could even you can even play in mana gain the estate. You could like go ultra win max min max and still just win the game on the spot. Okay, they don't see it. But I mean that's okay, right? That's fine. We get it this way we get to watch more Dominion. How can you ever be opposed to more Dominion? Alliance still basically wins? Not necessarily. Asia could hit $10, get their own alliance, and then it's a... Oh, wait, no, they can't do that. I mean, yeah, Alliance still just effectively wins, yeah. Yeah, this is over. I think Ramius is like over half VP now. I think the half VP threshold is like 41 points or something. Yeah, it's with no other VP on the board. It's half. So Ramius does get the win. And we're on to game 5. We've had some very interesting games so far. A lot of interesting boards. Okay. Wow. So there's 2 schools of thought here with the 5-2. Possibly 3, actually. You could go Displace, you could go Pickaxe, and you could go Crew. Pickaxe kind of doesn't do anything on the first shuffle. Crew is good here, actually. It's a good card. But I think you open Displace just so you can turn your estates into ghost towns. Or silvers or something. Isiah's path, I think, is clear. I think you just open Maroon Silver. You try and get to Pickaxe and go from there. you're gonna want to do some like Ghost Town crew stack stuff, and you can essentially guarantee having a crew in hand every single turn. You just top deck the crew and then you trigger your Ghost Town draw. So it's gonna be pretty good for sure. Ramius goes for the displace with the $5. Yep. Okay, sorry, I thought that was dismantle in my head for a second. Isiah buys dismantle, which I think is worse than a maroon. It's definitely worse than a maroon. I think maroon silver is the way to go, just for cycling reasons. As we talked about before, cycling is really, really good. And also, dismantle doesn't help you hit 5, but maroon does, because you can kill an estate and draw 2 cards. There's 2 reasons why the maroon is better. However, dismantle is not without its advantages. The gold is quite nice. Later, it will be nice when Isiah gets his own displace as well. And we do see a pickaxe, which is excellent. You love to see it. I actually think at this point, Isiah probably wants a crew, just because he has a ghost town in there. Okay, we're exiling the dismantle to get a gold and buy a silver. I'm not sure about that. I think you'd almost rather just click the dismantle on like copper and just pass. It feels bad, but that's probably actually the best thing to do that turn. Okay, we're sacking gold for a pickaxe. Seems fine. Not amazing, but fine. This mantle should have been maroon. Yes. Oh, that was a message from a while back. Okay, we're buying silver. You'd kind of rather have a ghost town and crew. You want to get that loop stuff going. You definitely want to focus on trashing. The trashing's really strong on this board. Ramius is going for money without smithy. I mean, not necessarily. This is a lot better than money without smithy. Like, there's even Tiara. Tiara is pretty nice with loot, actually. So there's kind of 2 schools of thought here. You could either orb the pickaxe, just kill a copper, or you can orb the tiara on gold. And I think you orb the tiara on gold. You just want to get your crew down as fast as possible, get it played, and then get your ghost town and start the loop. Essentially, I think that's what you want to do. Yeah, tiara for crew, ghost town for sure, I think. Absolutely. So we should see a top deck crew in a ghost town. It's very strong buys. I'm not gonna lie, like if Ramius just does that and just starts the ghost town crew stuff, he's gonna start having an insurmountable lead. Because Isiah's kind of just floundering right now. So I think like the one way Isiah could counter that is if somehow there's a TR in these next 4 cards, which I'm not even sure there is. No, Isiah played the TR last turn, so yeah, there's no outs. But Ramius doesn't do it, so. We do see a pickaxe and a tiara. It's not a terrible line, to be honest, because tiara on pickaxe is pretty good. It definitely does crash faster. It's not like bad. I think we're getting too much loot here. Yeah, I mean, Ramius is definitely playing like a money sort of deal. Isiah's playing money too, so it's just going to be kind of a bit of a money bonanza for sure. But like in theory, you could easily do the crew ghost town thing and just go absolutely crazy. Draw like you could build a double province. You could probably build a triple province like easily. And there's even tower. There's like incentive to like you can empty the ghost towns, and that's just like realistically that's going to be like a net 6 points. If you're building the engine and they're not, you're just going to have 8 ghost towns and they're going to have like 2. That's a net 6 points. Like tower incentivizes you to build. Or maybe it's just going to kill the tiara here. Kind of nothing else to do. They'll probably just buy the tiara again, to be honest. I don't think anyone signed up for the commentary tomorrow. So I might be back at the crack of dawn to do this again. Let's see. Let's see if anyone signed up. It looks like no one did the Haka Xerix commentary. I'm not doing 3 commentaries in a day anyway. Crazy. Can't make tomorrow. That's fine. Yeah. I think they did. I think someone organized it because they're trying to get like a European time for it, I think. I don't know, I'll have to check about that later. There's a game going on. I'm not 100%, but I might be back here tomorrow morning. Do the Egg League, the A-League match. Alright, and the race is on. The Amphora, you might as well just play it for next turn since you're working on province. Buying another pickaxe is probably a little too ambitious, I feel. But, I mean, on the bright side, 3 more pickaxes and tower activate on the pickaxe. Crash province, go mad. You could. It's not like the worst idea. Yeah. Top decking the gold you set aside. Oh, that's crazy. You know, pickaxing the province isn't that actually that crazy. Like, we got some sportsmanship going on in chat. We'll probably just see another rape here. Although I do think we're in like starting to duchy range, so I don't disagree with that. Okay, we're gonna see a province. It's unclear what Isiah should do here. I guess you just displace the gold in the province and just cry. Seems like the thing to do. Okay. Yeah, and you just sack the pickaxe here to try and get to province. Yeah, see, if you sack the pickaxe, there's a good chance it's a $3 one, and then you just have a province. So definitely a misplay there. Alright, I guess it's duchy time. Unless it's not, I guess it's gold time. I feel like duchy there is slightly better. There's only 3 provinces left. You're playing money. You're just kind of going full degen, buying green. Yep, makes sense. Pretty nice turn for Isia, all things considered. Well, this orb is something. Province Duchy. Yeah. So now we just kind of spin the wheel and see who draws better. The sword in hand for Isia is pretty nice. Quite nice, actually. Okay, we're gonna see double duchy here. Probably. I mean, I guess you can make a case for province estate, especially since you're first player. There's a good chance Isia at best can just tie with their own $10. But it is a little risky. If they hit $13, you die. You know what? Yeah. Province estate's probably okay. It's not the worst. Taking double duchy is fine too. Because you kind of close the door on Isia a little bit. And then if they have $13 with like province duchy, you have a crack at province yourself. And if not, just taking a province pretty much seals it. Yeah, this is slightly safer. And Isia here, yeah, you don't love it. You almost kind of have to take province there as Isia. You almost have to take province there with how far behind you are. You kind of just have to bank on the fact that Ramius duds and you hit province, which would have worked out there for Isia actually with how the draws went. Now you're kind of delaying the inevitable again. You still have to just click on province here. You're not about to buy double tiara and go for like the tower. Buying estates, like, really? It's just so bad. I mean, now I guess you click on estate. A $10 estate. I mean, it's so funny. $10 estate, I guess. Hooray. I mean, you definitely don't want to click on province now. Because if Isia has a $10 hand, it's GG. The math doesn't make sense now. Okay, so you actually could tiara the hammer and take 2 tiaras and then buy a tiara, and that might have been a win. I haven't counted exactly, but that probably won the game on the spot because of the tower point. Pretty sure that would have won the game on the spot. How many tiaras are in the trash? 3? I'm not gonna bother checking, but there was a good to great chance that triple tiara just won. Finding wins is an art. It's really difficult to find wins in Dominion. You have to constantly be on the lookout for them, and B, you have to find them after playing like 4 games of Dominion over the span of like 2 hours, or in this case, an hour and 30 minutes. You just kind of zone out a little bit, especially playing money and playing quickly like they are. You definitely can miss wins. So Isia definitely gets their second win. They have a chance to equalize here. So we could see a 3-3 result after all of that. Ramius definitely had the strong start with the 2-0. But Isia has clawed back. And now we're on to game 6. With Isia as first player as well. So Isia potentially in the driver's seat here for game 6. Alright, so we have Bounty Hunter and we have Goat. There is no excuse to not have a thin deck here. There's even Donate. So never mind on all of that. So what would I play here? Well, there's no card draw other than Wishing Well. But in theory, the thing you would play is you would play an Inventor Megaturn. However, because of Donate, you can probably configure your deck really quickly into such and such a position that you Bounty Hunter a province every single turn, by province, forever. And then by the time the Inventor stuff comes online, like, Donate is already just, you know. You definitely could do that. Tireless and... Oh, that's so bad. Oh my god, that makes Inventor so much worse. That makes Inventor so much worse. Inventor Donate? Inventor Donate? Does it top deck? Probably. Well, it has to be from play. Put on your deck at end of turn. At the start of your next turn, put your deck. Yeah, so it does boot the Inventor from the top deck, because Donate happens on the start of your turn before your turn, I believe. So yeah, I think the way it's set up, you could dodge the Vietnam draft, as they say, by buying Donate after playing Inventor. You could dodge it. Man, Tireless is such a sad whatever it's called. I don't even know what it's called. It's not a way. Like an omen or something. I forget what it's called. It's not an omen. It's a trait. Right. Trait. There's Wine Merchant. Yeah, so you can configure a deck pretty quickly here where a trader. Yeah, with a Wine Merchant, you could have $4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so you could have a Wine Merchant, a gold, and a copper, a Bounty Hunter, and a province, and then just tuck a province every single turn with a Bounty Hunter and buy province. You're basically racing that. Any deck you make has to beat that, because it's really fast. You don't even have to stop to buy like a silver or anything. You can just pick up a Wine Merchant and a gold. Good. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, however, Ramius does part ways with the Bounty Hunter, so they give up the guaranteed province. They would have had it, especially with the Tavern mat. So, a bit strange. Starting +2 inventors in a wishing well is a secured draw. That is true. That is true. Can't dispute that. I mean, you can, but you'd be wrong. Alright, so I'm not really sure what to make. I think Ramius is just gonna win this just because they're basically playing donate money. Which is, to be fair, it is a strat. Akuchi wrote an entire article about it. It's on the web somewhere. Either Aku wrote it or I wrote it. I don't remember who wrote it. I think Aku wrote it. I forget which articles I wrote. I wrote one about Hermit. I wrote one about... Or maybe I didn't write one about Hermit. Gosh, I don't remember. I think I did write one about Hermit. But it's not under my name now. It's under my past name. God. What's going on? Yeah, I think the donate article, I think Aku wrote the donate. Pretty sure, at least. Alright, so 2 duchies. Yeah, Ramius is just running away with this. Completely over. Yeah, this just about seals it. Ramius hitting province again. Yeah, there's just no time for stuff. Maybe there is. I don't know. It seems really dicey. I would definitely try to beat this, but I don't know, man. Getting like 6 provinces in 13 turns. Are you really beating that as inventor? Especially with the kind of low-key weak board. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not a weak board, but it's kind of weak. Now, if the inventor was a bridge, I think we'd be maybe talking a little different. I feel like bridge is different. That's my feeling. I think you can squeak out an extra like green gain off of a bridge that you can't with inventor. I think it makes a difference. Then again, inventor can gain and play. I don't know. It's not clear to me. Either way, Ramius completely bulldozes that last game and showcases the power of donate. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.